Yeah, so I guess what's the next one on the list? It looks like we're going to stay downtown now.
Yeah, and so these are not in any particular order. I think I just started writing downtown and went, all right, well, who else downtown has this? So Four Queens still has a handful of 10-7 double bonus poker. That's another game with a tough strategy. For example, since flush pays 7, when I say 10, I mean a full house is 10 per coin bet and a flush is 7, and a straight in that game pays 5. So in this type of game, if you got dealt, say, Jack 7, 3 of hearts, and you didn't have any pairs, the other two cards are not matching and they're different suits. In this game, when a flush pays 7, you're going to hold one face card with two other suited cards. So you're going to draw a 3 to the flush there. And so that's one of the major. Also, you could do that if it's Queen Jack 3. So if you have one or two, it seems nonsensical, but since the flush pays 7, you're going to draw at that. Sometimes you hit the Jack or hit two pair or something too. And then the 5 on the straight means you're going to always go for gut shots at the end. It's not going to be first, but you're never going to throw a gut shot away. And there's other types of plays here where you get dealt a pair with a straight and you have some decisions to make. So that's another one where they give you a player advantage if you can memorize all the different ways it is different from jacks or better. And so they have that in quarter and dollar at Four Queens, and then scattered about there are a few 9-6 jacks or betters that have denominations of quarter, half dollar, and dollar. And they still have 99% at the bar. They used to have 100% game at the bar, but they downgraded a couple of years ago. So you can play 9-7 double bonus at the bar, or what they call Illinois deuces, which is just under 99%. It's a deuces wild game.
One thing I found is I feel that they've never really had a video poker game that paid back over 100% that had a simple strategy. I feel like they the only reason they did that was because they all had complicated strategies and they knew almost no one would be able to play it perfectly.
Yeah, before video poker calculators, I don't know how anybody ever could have figured out Joker poker. It just would have been something they would have made several percentage points off of because they're so
Mm-hmm.
like, you would almost never hold a bare Joker. You're going to hold another card with it. Often you look for a 7 first, then a 6 or an 8. But then you also have penalty cards. So if you have
Mm-hmm.
a flush card with a 7, then you're going, all right, maybe I don't want to hold the 7. Do I have an 8 that's a different suit? So
Mm-hmm.
people probably make that mistake all the time. And back then they certainly did because that would have been one of the harder things to have figured out. That was
I was
one of my
making that
early
mistake.
mistakes in that game.
I'm in the middle of learning Joker poker now, not the full pay one, well, a much worse version we have down here. And somebody pointed out to me because that's not very intuitive at all, to think that you would hold a 7 with the Joker.
Right. And so I believe that the theory behind that is that all the straights it will make, and also if you held higher cards, you catch an ace or a king into it, then you're going to get paid on the pair. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that you're trying to leave yourself open for multiple ways to win as opposed to just holding that bare joker and figuring, all right, well, what's going to happen here, because
Yeah.
you never
Mm-hmm.
know what you're going to get. But also the other, there's no more full pay deuces anymore, but that's a complicated game. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe 10-6 double double bonus, which you can find at station casinos, is the simplest because I don't know that there's any changes from that game to. Uh, I'm not an expert. Somebody might correct me on this, but between that and the 9-6 version, I suppose you're probably still throwing three aces away if you could dealt an aces with a full house, But
Mm-hmm.
somebody will correct me on that. I haven't studied the game, so if I'm wrong, forgive me there. Do you know
Yeah.
for sure?
I don't know. No,
Yeah.
I never practice pay tables that good. We don't have them in Florida.
Gotcha. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's important that when you play these high payback games, I guess is my point is I don't even know the answer to this. To make sure if you're used to playing a worse pay table and you go to station casinos and you find this 10-6 machine, make sure you know if there's any strategy differences because you're gonna cost yourself the money that is the 100% by making these mistakes. Like if you play full pay deuces, if you were to find one of these games, but or not so ugly deuces, that's everywhere. Or not, it's in Las Vegas in several places if you play the Illinois deuces and the not so ugly deuces, that's not the same strategy. So there's very
Mm-hmm.
important to learn how things change as the pay table goes up or down.
Yep.
Yeah, those Deuces Wild have a lot of variants in their pay tables. And speaking of that, years ago, it used to be easy to find full pay Deuce as well. I remember playing it at Orleans. I remember playing it at the old Reserve. That's really
Sam's
going back.
Town.
And then we used to, when Matt and I would go to Vegas, we would at the gaming shows usually, we would stay at Sam's Town, and we always ran into Dan Paymar. That was one of the few places that had full pay deuces wild. I'm sure you know Dan Paymar. He was a video poker expert. He wrote software, he wrote books all about it. And Dan would be there. It was a quarter game, and it was like a coin dropper. And he would sit there for hours and hours and hours all day long, just playing those full pay deuces as well. But eventually they pulled it. This is part of the problem with video poker. As people are getting smarter, the casinos are making it more difficult to find good games. But I just wanted to throw that in there. Okay, so are we still in downtown?
Yeah, there's one more left here. I'm going to mention about Sam's Town. I believe it was the last Las Vegas casino that had full pay deuces. They had 4 in the back until about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And because Arizona Charlie's had them on Decatur too, and I think just about the same time they both pulled them out. So yeah, it's been a year or two. So yeah, the Cal is the last place downtown. It doesn't have any 100% games. One thing that I think that's cool about Cal, though, California is its proper name, I guess, is that you can play 9-6 jacks on coin droppers, on dollar coin droppers. They don't even have bill acceptors. And so you have to go get rolls of dollar coins from the change person. And you drop them in there. So it's the novelty of that. There are people who play these machines who've probably been playing them for 30, 40 years. And these machines probably are about that old, but they keep them up. There's a few more coin dropper games on the other side of the casino, but they're not 99%. And so there's one bank where they have not so ugly deuces. That's the 99.73 version, where you get 16 on 5 of a kind and 10 on a straight flush. And then they have a few other 99% games in there. But since I was downtown, I figured I would, I guess group all the downtowns together. I realize that now. I don't think I realized that when I was writing this. So Cortez, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
One question I had for you, John, on your website, do you when you list what these good games are, do you tell people how to find them in the casinos?
Yes, in general, if for the video poker, pretty good about that. I'm not going to say we do it all the times. Sometimes, like at Station, they'll have up to 99.8% on the top glass. So and there's several banks of them. So same with the 100% payback. They'll say like ultimate play or I don't remember now.
But they've got signage for it.
It's what?
Yeah. They have signage for those good games.
Right. And so there's multiple banks of them. Now, if there's only one place, in general, we will put that there. Now, on the Strip, all the good video poker's in high limit, so we'll just say, hey, it's in high limit, because there aren't any good video poker games really on the floor at all on the Strip. But for Plaza, for example, we would explain the bars you can play it at, and this bank behind the sportsbook bar, and there's a couple of machines outside the bingo room.
Cool. Okay.
Have these pay tables, and so we're good with the description, but I'm not going to say we're perfect.
Okay. Well, that's good enough.
And so the last one downtown is El Cortez, and just like we're talking about how the better games are kind of difficult, the best video poker pay tables are often the hardest strategies. At El Cortez, the best game is Double Deuces Wild, which I don't think I've seen except at South Point with his pay table on a ticket game. So these are all coin droppers at El Cortez. All their best video poker and coin droppers are in the back room closest to the parking deck entrance. And so they have Double Deuces Wild, then they have this 11-7 triple bonus poker, which is this crazy high variance, a little higher variance than double bonus poker, but like a full house pays 11 and a flush pays 7. Right next to it is a machine that doesn't have the same pay table, so you have to make sure you're playing the right one. There's only one of them. And then they have a good bonus Deuces Wild, and then the Joker poker that pays 18 on 4 of a kind as opposed to 20, which is the full pay at Plaza. But so if you're at El Cortez and you want the best games, you have to go to the coin droppers in the back. Otherwise, I think the best game there is the Illinois Deuces.
I haven't even heard of half those games you just mentioned.
So Station Casinos, they own numerous locals casinos here. Red Rock is probably their best known. Green Valley Ranch, Durango is the newest locals casino. Sunset Station, Santa Fe, and Boulder. So those are their full service casinos, I call them, the ones that have table games. And so they have 2 different types of good banks. One is the 100% games, and you can play 10-7 double bonus, which we talked about at 4 Queens. Then they have this loose deuces where they raise the payout on the on 4 deuces, but they take away some of the other lower payouts, so it raises your variance. And then they have 10-6 double bonus, so the full house pays 10. Most people were used to that paying 9, I guess, on their full pay versions. That'd be a 99% game that paid 9. So you can see going to 10 adds a percent to the payback because it goes from 98.98 to 100.06. And so The Deuces game is only available in quarters. The other two go up to $1. All right, and so they also have 99.8% games that have quarter, 50 cent, and dollar denominations. And this starts with triple bonus plus. That's the best game, 99.8. Then they have not so ugly deuces, super double bonus, 9.6 bonus poker deluxe, and then they have some of these aces and faces games, which I see more often like in Atlantic City. I don't see, except on these 99.8 machines, I don't hardly see these. They're almost like double bonus, except for instead of twos, threes, and fours, you're doing jacks, queens, and kings.
Ah, gotcha.
And so also Santa Fe Station and Sunset Station have this triple deuces wild for nickels. I think you can bet 10 coins on those. But the other casinos that have had those have removed them. So I don't know if their days are numbered at those other two, but it tends to be the more luxurious a station casino is, the less likely it is to have these types of better video poker machines, or they have fewer of these banks. Durango doesn't have any of them. I mentioned them earlier, but I should correct that. They do not have any of these 99.8 or 100% payback games in there. The best game at Durango's full pay bonus poker 8-5.
I was actually just going to mention that because I had heard their games weren't that good at Durango.
Now,
you got about $1 to get it. There's no quarter or 50 cent 99% games at Durango.
I got a question for you here. When we look at the on our website, AmericanCasinoGuidebook.com, one of our websites, we put information there on slot machines statistical paybacks. We don't update it ourselves anymore, but we have links there, so if you want to go to the Gaming Commission in Nevada, you can see the reports. But it's the locals casinos that have higher overall payback percentages on their gaming machines. Now they lump together slot machines and video poker. Now, in these locals casinos, usually it's North Las Vegas that has some of the highest returns, or Boulder Highway that has some of the highest returns in the country. But if you go to those casinos, there's a higher proportion of video poker to slot machines than you would find in say, a strip casino. Because locals like to play that. But do you think, I'm getting a little bit away from video poker here, but do you think that, so those casinos, they had very good pay tables on their video poker. Do you think they make the returns better on their slot machines also? Or do you think that it's just because there's so much video poker, it raises the overall payback percentage?
So I don't know this for sure, but yes, the percentage of play that's video poker definitely plays at least a significant part in that. I do believe that the slots at locals casinos are perhaps 1 or 2% looser than on the strip. Downtown's probably about the same. I've seen some par sheets over the years, and the best, but I'm still having to guess at this. I do think that if you wanted to go play slots, you would be doing better by going to a locals casino than definitely playing on the strip. I would say between downtown and in the locals market, there's probably not much difference. But some of the paybacks on the strip are set in the mid 80s. And so I don't think you would find anything like that in a locals casino.
Yeah, a lot of people, they never think to go to a locals casino. That's one thing we tell people. Well, if you're going to Las Vegas, you're staying on the strip, take a side trip, go off to one of the locals casinos and try it out. See if you like it. Maybe you want to stay there next time. Your money should last longer. But a lot of people never think of it. So that's one thing we always suggest for them.
And I have a lot of friends who, once they got introduced to Red Rock, don't want to stay anywhere else. They think it's exceptional. And I've heard great things about Durango, though the gambling there isn't as great, for a locals casino. But
that place is gorgeous, though. I got to admit, that place is amazing. Other than
they're still adding on to it. It's going to be bigger and better as the years go by. Before I moved here, I used to stay at Orleans because it had such good gambling there, and I played poker back then. So I had that one of the best poker rooms in Las Vegas there. Plus, at Orleans, you can play 9-6 jacks or better at the bar. Back then, you still can. And so that's the type of thing that I would go do before I moved here. We've been here since 2010, so I don't have great tourist advice anymore. Only what you can play, because I don't know what the mailers are like either. But the locals casinos will definitely give you better offers than the strip will on the same level of action. That's an experience that I hear over and over again. Downtown is pretty generous too.
All right, so I'm sorry I diverted a little there, but to get back to was that the end of the list for your?
No,
you got more.
So we got Boyd's, which I say in the article I mentioned Sam's Town and other Boyd gaming casinos, because Sam's Town has the best games. They have a 9-7 double bonus that resets. It's a quarter game, resets the Royal at 1,500. So it's already paying over 100% at the reset.
Oh,
And
wow.
so that's all the way in the back of the casino, past where the buffet used to be. And so that's a great game there. They also have the same 99.8% machines that Station has. And then, like I just mentioned a minute ago, Orleans has $1, $2, and $5 jacks or better at all the bars. And then you can play quarter nines or nickel, diamond, quarter, 9-6 jacks at Main Street Station. And so there are still a few good video poker games offered by these Boyd casinos. Last time I was at Gold Coast, there was one bar machine left that had full pay jacks. So I don't know if it's still there or not. So that's weird. Some of these casinos, they'll start replacing machines, and then they get to the end and they'll just leave 1 or 2 of the old version at the end of the bar. And if you're at a bar and you see, in general, if you see 15 new machines and 2 old ones, you ought to look at the old ones first, because they're oftentimes have better pay tables on them.
You give us a list of the best places to play. So did you have some places in mind that people should avoid playing when they're in Las Vegas?
So the Strip is the worst place for a video poker player under $5 under the $5 denomination, especially at the bars. The Caesars bars have some of the worst things I've seen, like 7-5 double bonus, and there's kind of a trick game out there. It's 9-6 bonus poker, 9-6-4 with the straight, and that game holds almost 4%. Even though you hear I should go look for 9-6 games, this one is not a good one, because as we mentioned earlier, double bonus, the best one's 10-7 and then 5 on a straight. So you're getting knocked off on every one of those. And that adds almost 5% to the hold of the house. And so, but once you get to $5, there's some high limit games. You can play full pay jacks at some of the high limit strips salons. Caesar's Palace at $25 has 9-7 triple bonus. So, it just depends. On the Strip, these quarter and 50-cent games are terrible. At $1, they end up with like 7-5 bonus poker and 9-5 double bonus. Those hold about 2%. So that's the worst place to play those, but also the best place to play high limit, because when you get in the locals market and play $5 games, they don't have any of these 99.8% types of machines with those denominations.
Now, what about the airport?
Yeah, I think the Caesars bar is worse than the airport, actually.
Oh, is it really?
I think the airport's one little step above that, at least. But yes, I don't recommend playing video poker at the airport either. That's definitely a poor choice. But also, I guess if you're bored on a 4-hour delay, then something you got to do what you got to do.
Well, apparently the airport used to be a fairly good place to play video poker, because the Deuces Wild game you've talked about, Illinois Deuces Wild, also used to be referred to as Las Vegas Airport Deuces, which they used to have at the airport. That was long before I could gamble. But I think that's a 98.9% game by itself. So, I mean, I guess at one point it had to be halfway decent.
Yeah, it must have been. And, what's weird is, on this list also is South Point, because they have 99% video poker everywhere. They own the airport route. And so that's kind of a funny little thing, or at least the owner of it does. There's a relation between South Point and the airport slot route. And yet they have atrocious pay tables at the airport. I guess they figure they've got you, right? You can't be like, I'm going to go to South Point and play. I don't want to play these terrible games because they got you trapped. Oh, you're delayed. You're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And one other thing before on the list here is Emerald Island Rainbow Club. We're talking about the variants. And those are the best places to play these variants. You can play almost 100% video poker on 10 play at $1.50 per line. They'll let you go 30 coins on nickels on these. And then they have great Ultimate X pay tables. Split Cards, another one they have good pay tables on. And so that's the best place to play. Like I said, that's in downtown Henderson. Their Players Club doesn't give you free slot play or cashable points.
Which property was this again? The microphone had cut out there when you said the name.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Emerald Island and Rainbow Club in downtown Henderson.
Okay. Gotcha.
And so, yes, they don't send you mailers for free slot play, but they'll feed you. If you're a regular player, they will never pay for food again.
Oh, awesome. All right. So, John Mehaffey, thank you very much for joining us today. It was always a pleasure to talk to you. If people want to learn more about you and your work, where would they do that?
All right. So, Vegas Advantage is our website. Go to vegasadvantage.com. And then we have links to our newsletter on that. We become a member and help support our work. And so fliptheswitch.com is the BC Slots property that we're partners with. And then I also do some work for a website called onlineunitedstatescasinos.com. So I spread among several people there, and they all help support our cause, so to speak. It gives us an opportunity to get the information out there and keep Vegas Advantage going.
All right. Thank you, John.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Good seeing you both. Good seeing you, Steve. Thank you for
All
having
right.
me on. This was fun.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for being here, John. We enjoyed it. Always love to talk about gambling,
All
especially
right.
video poker.